Hi, I'm Adrian Duncan, and this is the third of a series of 6 courses I'm doing Crash Course in Astrology. So the first course we've done, it's been the 12 signs, and the second course was the planets, and now we're getting to the 12 houses. And just to brush up your memories, the 12 signs, there was a kind of system we introduced with the 12 signs, understanding that each of the 12 signs is composed of one of 4 elements, and that's air, earth, fire and water. And each of these elements represents an enormous state, a powerful state of being. Like earth is the solid state and represents a matter and your body and the physical world and practical things. Water is the liquid state and it represents emotion and empathy and feeling and sensitivity. Air is the gaseous state. It represents the ability to connect with people, communication, social interaction. And fire is like the plasma state. It's enthusiasm, identity, enormous energy. So those are the 4 elements, and then there's 3 modalities, which are ways of expressing energy. So there's cardinal, fixed and mutable. Cardinal is the impetus to start. Fixed is the way energy stabilizes like a spinning top. And mutable is the way energy dissipates at the end of that stage, like when the energy goes out of the top and it swings and falls down. So each of these signs is a combination, a unique combination of that. So if you take something like Scorpio, it's a water sign, so it's very emotional, and it's a fixed sign, so it sticks with the emotions. That's why Scorpio is sometimes connected with jealousy and things like that. Now the signs in themselves are just kind of they just express, they just colour influences in a way. It's the planets that give the impetus or the energy, or they're the players, if you like, in the film. So planets, they represent drives, basically, and you've got the 5 personal planets, which includes the Sun and Moon, Mercury, Venus and Mars, and you've got the 5 outer planets, which are huge gas giants, apart from Pluto, which is Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune and Pluto. And each of these planets has a completely unique effect. So something like Mercury, the planet Mercury, is connected with the way we think, the way we communicate, the way we learn, our mental abilities, in a sense. So if you put Mercury in Pisces, which is a very emotional and intuitive sign, then the way a person expresses themselves is more through fantasy and less through detail, you could say. Or if you put Mars in Cancer, which is a water sign as well, and a very family-oriented sign, so that person's going to fight very hard. Mars is a kind of fighting planet. Fight very hard to protect the family. So if you know the planets, and you do because you did this course number 2, and if you know the signs, then you can describe the behavior of people. How that behavior is actually going to work itself out, where on earth and what specific ways it's going to work itself out, you don't know until you see which house the planet's in. So you've got the planet in the sign in the house, and there's a lot of combinations there. Like if you take 12 signs, 12 houses, that's already 144 combinations with 10 planets. We're up on about 1,500 combinations, so you can't remember them all. So you need to kind of understand each of these factors and then put it together in a synthesis process. And there is one extra thing we're going to learn after this houses, that's aspects. And aspects is the way the energy interacts, the way behavior is modified. And when we've got all that together, we can interpret the horoscope, which is module 5. Module 6, we're going to actually look at how predictions are made, which is not that difficult if you understand the movement of planets. But here we are. Here we got the picture of the horoscope, but this time with the 12 houses inside. and you're inside the circle. And you'll see that you're already familiar with the 12 signs, which I'll just quickly go through. There's Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius and Pisces. And those 12 signs correspond with the 12 houses. So the first house kind of corresponds with Aries, the second house corresponds with Taurus, the third house corresponds with Gemini, etc. Now when I say corresponds, it's not the same. It's just that they kind of take their mundane or their physical manifestation as a kind of reflection of the signs. So for example, if you take a sign like Gemini, the third house, which corresponds to the third sign, is connected with communication, just like Gemini is, but it's more practical. It's like your brothers and sisters, the school, your examinations, and also your traveling and your car and that kind of thing. So the houses represent something very practical. So that's what makes it possible when you're looking at somebody's horoscope to really start predicting not just their behavior, but what they're going to do and what is going to happen in their lives. So this is the picture of the 12 houses, and you'll see that there's 4 important divisions of the 12 houses. You've got the ascendant, which is the eastern horizon. You've got the descendant, which is the western horizon. You've got the MC, which is what's above your head, and IC, what's below your feet. And these are the 4 cardinal points, or the 4 axes of the 12 houses. And they represent, in actual fact, the revolution of the Earth on its own axis. Now that's the difference between the signs and the houses. The signs represent a 12-fold division of the solar system as the Earth revolves around the Sun. The houses represent a 12-fold division of the Earth as the Earth revolves on its own axis. So another way of looking at these 12 houses is to see the line, the horizontal line, which is going from the ascendant to the descendant. You can see this line. You can imagine that you're actually standing there on the ground, and everything above your head is like here, and everything below your feet is there. And what happens is, at dawn, the sun rises, enters the 12th house, goes through the 11th house, goes through the 10th house, and reaches the highest point, high noon, and that's where the 10th house begins. And then it goes down, the sun reaches the descendant, which is the 7th house cusp, and then nighttime sets in, that's sunset. And here's the midnight point, which is the beginning of the 4th house. So you'll notice that we've got 4 identifiable points. We know exactly where the ascendant, MC, descendant and IC are because of you've got the eastern horizon, what you can see on the eastern horizon at dawn, for example, and what you can see on the western horizon, what you can see above your head. It's easily measurable. But there's also the intermediate houses. That's the 2nd and 3rd houses, the 5th and 6th houses, the 8th and 9th houses, and the 11th and 12th. These intermediate houses, there's different systems for finding out where they're placed because houses, they're not equal. And although the signs are equal and each sign is composed of 30 degrees, a house can include more than one sign or even 2 signs. The houses are only equal if you're born on the equator. The further north or south you go, the more unequal houses get. So there's these kind of many different house systems, and there's about 10 at least, and there's certain discussions about how to divide the sky in the, but they're all pretty much similar, so don't worry about that. The most traditional house system, the one that people use mostly, is Placidus, and that's what we're going to be using during this course. Some people like Regiomontanus and some people like Koch, but there's often not a huge difference, and the closer you get to the equator, the less difference it is. So astrologers discuss amongst themselves what's best there. But basically, we know where the first and the fourth and the seventh and the 10th house begin, and we're kind of slightly guessing maybe about the intermediary points. Another way of looking at the 12 houses is looking at the 4 quadrants. I've removed the 12 signs around the horoscope now, because the houses are not the signs. The signs are different, and the houses are kind of the practical, concrete, earthly manifestation of energy. So here we can see the houses again, and one way of looking at this is to see the first house, which is the ascendant, as yourself. So that's why I call that me. And what's opposite that is everybody else. It's you. And what we feel most attached to is like us and authorities and all the people out there who seem to be ordering us around. That could be like them. So there's this kind of sense that the more you're over on towards the ascendant, the more it's personal. And the more you're over planets, the more planets are over on the descendant, it's more connected with others. So this first quadrant I call the inner world, or the personal world. The second quadrant, which is to do with the family, children and working colleagues, is to do with relationships, but still a kind of inner world. And then once you get above the horizon, because all this area of the horoscope is in the daytime sphere, and all this horoscope is in the nighttime sphere. So above the horizons, it's relationships in the 7th house, more intimate or power-related relationships in the 8th house, and more intellectual relationships in the 9th. So it's the outer world relationships. And as soon as we get into the 10th, 11th and 12th, we're going into the collective sphere. So this is like the business world or your career. The 11th house is like groups, and the 12th house is kind of what happens hidden behind the scenes in many ways. So that's the 4 quadrants. But what we need to do now, I think we need to really look at each house in turn. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to show a horoscope for each house of a famous person, just to illustrate 1 or 2 themes with each of the houses. So we're going to go through the 12 houses, and I'm going to explain what kind of things can happen in each of these houses when there's a planet in a sign.